Hello and welcome to Historics Podcast, back here in leafy Buckinghamshire for what is basically our Christmas special. Joined this time by Historics auction specialist and classic car specialist, Big Dom Lake.
Hello.
And with auctioneer to the stars and well-dressed man, Edward Rising.
Hello.
You have had a rather interesting couple of weeks, I hear, since we last saw you at the auction.
Yeah, I've been, as a travelling auctioneer, have travel will gavel, I've been travelling and I've been to Beverly Hills and I've been selling, I'm going to show you, I'm going to sell, this is the coolest thing ever. This is Sylvester Stallone's collection of bits and pieces.
Wow.
And it's all his collection of stuff that he's hoarded over the years. But I think this is an idea for historics, and I think we should do this in all of our catalogues.
Oh, look at that.
Love it.
Do you think we can get that sort of priced up for our next auction? What sort of theme do you
But what theme should... Well, I guess if you had a DB5 on the front cover, you go with a James Bond theme, obviously.
Yeah,
obviously.
true.
You just have Mark Perkins' voice somewhere.
Just
telling us how fantastic we are, like he often does.
go faster.
So this was an auction of the life and career. So a lot of film memorabilia.
Basically lots of memorabilia. So it starts off with and it goes in chronological order, going through all of the Rockies and then going through all of the Rambos and then ending up with Expendables at the end. So every single bit of it, he's basically nicked off the set and put it into his own personal collection. With a signature on it. It was really well attended online. Really a lot of following online. Yeah, a smattering. Probably 20, 30 people in the room.
I was thinking you could basically do the next 20 years worth of fancy dress parties, couldn't you? You get a Rambo outfit, a Rocky outfit, your Expendables outfit.
Yeah.
You could pretty much get them all. And then every party you went to, just a different Sylvester Stallone character.
You might get in trouble. There's quite a lot of knives. There's a lot of very, very big Rambo knives in there. So
you had to auction them well, otherwise you were in trouble yourself.
Well, I don't want Sylvester Stallone on my back. And that is so nerve-wracking because they said, he's not coming to the day. They didn't want him actually turning up to the day because he'd be a security problem. But they said he is watching. And you're doing an auction and you've got Sylvester Stallone watching you and you're just aware of every word you're saying. And you go, oh, my God.
How does that compare to Mark?
I'll look after you, don't worry.
So how does it compare? Because obviously, when you're working with us and we're doing classic cars, I'm presuming that all different types of auctions have a different style. And in the States, in Beverly Hills, of course, maybe they want a bit more glitz.
Yeah, well, cars are different from every other auction anyway. I sell jewellery, I sell fine art, I sell contemporary art, I sell all sorts of watches, I sell all sorts of things. People read the catalogue. They understand exactly what they're buying. They understand exactly what level they're going to go to. They turn up or they bid online. They go to that level and then they stop. And then we move on to the next lot.
Yep.
Cars, they turn up, sit down, see something on the screen above the rostrum, think that looks quite nice. I think I might bid on that. And then they pause and they think about it for 5 minutes and then they put their hands up and then they pause and think about it again. And it goes on forever.
And there's variables, I guess, with cars as well, because you can't be certain exactly what that car is like unless you've had a full inspection, whereas maybe with some of the fine art and jewellery...
No, exactly. And if you're looking at this, it's a film poster. It's a signed film poster by Sylvester Stallone. You don't need to see it. There's no logbook or anything to read about it. So it's just...
And is the pace different then?
Yes. So the pace of a car auction is... approximately, we'd say it's about 30 lots an hour. We're trying to aim for around about 30 lots an hour. Normal auctions that I'm doing vary from anything from about 120 if I'm really sort of going for it.
Yep.
An hour?
So that's every 30 seconds, bang. Difficult with online bidding, but you can do it with sort of low value things. It's quite easy to do. To mainly sort of 60 to 80 lots an hour is sort of the industry average. So this was about sort of 50, 60 lots an hour.
Interestingly, you mentioned online, because obviously online's quite topical at the moment, but last auction, I think you've got a few figures for us, Ed. How did we do last auction?
75% sold. So everything entered, 75% of it got sold, which equated to just over £4 million worth of cars on one afternoon, even at 30 lots an hour.
That's pretty good.
So that was a good end to the year.
Yeah, some highlights. We sold an SLS Mercedes, a 10-year-old car that had 5,000 miles on it, but it had been serviced 10 times. I think the key to it is a good story or a good service history. Almost £200,000 for that.
Whenever Don comes up with highlights, it always wants to be sold.
Yeah, it's one I sold. We sold, and in the last podcast we mentioned that we might get the DB5, which we consigned. We presented really well. Mark took it home. He made it run better than I think it's ever driven before. And we sold it for £420,000. So one happy owner, money going to a charity. So it was just...
and did you consign that one as well?
Yeah, and I happened to consign that one as well.
And I sold that one as well.
And
So what did you do?
My notes don't make any mention of any of the stuff that you or any other guys in the office did. So the oldest car we had was from 1927. The newest car was from 2020. So the variety was really quite wide. Quite amazing.
So on that, because obviously that now being the end of the year, I thought I'd just jot down as well a couple of the annual stats, because obviously overall, in the whole year, we've done just over £20 million in sales.
Wow.
That's pretty good, isn't it? Say it like that, doesn't it? So that's at 665, because I know one sold yesterday.
How many sales was that?
That was over 5 sales, 665 lots in all.
Maths.
79% sales rate. Now that is actually very high. I've done this for a little while, and I know anything over 70% on an average is a good sales rate. So for cars, 79 is incredible.
I seem to have got better since I started, but perhaps just a coincidence. I don't know.
and 89% of the lots actually sold above their top estimate range.
Wow, that really is good.
So it probably does hark to the fact that if you are thinking of selling, your estimate, your reserve, if you have one, is very important, because they're the cars that sold particularly well.
But there's always that balance with putting reserve on a car or anything. You want, the lower you can put it, the more you're going to attract interest.
Yeah, exactly.
And so often, because you have quite a few no reserve cars, and they always do really well.
And this is a large part of what we do when we speak to people, because I like to I refer to you as an auctioneer, but actually more of a classic car specialist. And what you're trying to explain to someone is the best way in which to offer the car. And ultimately, as you say, you're asking someone to sort of take a chance, but the research factor of it, what you need to sell is you're sending it to the right place to achieve the very best for that car.
Absolutely.
Naturally, if you turn up and there's only 7 people and a dog in the corner, you're not at the best place to sell that car. So it doesn't matter what you put the estimate on. There's only 7 people or the dog that's going to put their paw up.
And your sales are not only have you got loads of people online, you've also got people in the room. And you've had that.
Well, importantly, and that reverts back to the online success, as you mentioned with the Stallone auction, it's become incredibly important. I think I've jotted these down. So we've had bidders from so in September alone, there was 114 different countries represented online. The relevance has sort of been it's stark this year post COVID, or even through COVID. So 42% sold online. Now that doesn't mean that those chaps are blind bidding. What it probably means, and I've seen this personally as a bit of a sea change, is that everyone's got busier in their lives, I think, now, and COVID has given that kick towards trusting the online platform. So they'll come down perhaps Wednesday, Thursday, have a good look, inspect the car. Then they can, at their leisure really, on the Saturday, have the laptop in the background and just click and bid for that lot, saving themselves the day out. The shame is, of course, as you and I will both say, how much do we really want them in the room?
It's from an auctioneer's perspective, online is great. We know it's great and it's fantastic. You got all those bids coming in, but there's nothing like actually having people in the room and that contact. And that's where the skill of an auctioneer comes in, is where you can actually sort of have a contact and conduct the bidding between the two people. When you've got the bidding going on online, it's just a bit cold, isn't it?
And in fairness, you're one of the better ones. I've seen you sort of literally look down the camera and go, yo.
I know. It's probably pretty much imaginary. They've probably got the volume off, but I am trying to talk to you bidding online. It possibly helps if you can just sort of say, go on, one more. And it's all about getting. An auctioneer's job is always to try and get that one extra bid.
Look back wise, successful year. Highlights for you? It's going to be one of your own cars, I know, because that's where we're heading on this, aren't we? So, what was the best car you sold this year?
A couple of highlights this year is that last year, because of COVID and we missed a sale, I missed my end of year bonus by a tiny amount, and I promised the boss that wasn't going to happen this year, and I've just blown it away.
When you say the boss, do you mean Kathy at home?
Yeah, but don't tell her, because she might see this, and I really
she doesn't realise you've got that.
Yeah, I haven't told her.
See, for me, I've actually, this has been part of my highlight for the year. So we've sort of changed to become more engaging with our bidders, our buyers, our people that are potentially interested in cars, the podcast, the videos with Vicky and Tom. And actually, that ability to just get a bit stuck in, drive the cars a bit more often, and sit here in front of cameras is not that part, but the actual engagement with people has been a lot more fun. And I think it's generally helped us achieve those particularly good rates. How about you? Now, yours doesn't have to be about historic set. Don't worry.
Okay.
Highlights of the year.
Highlights of the year would be historics. Definitely, we would definitely. The highlight of the last 2 years has been historics.
Contract up for renewal.
No. but definitely, just because you've had live auctions all the way through this whole thing. I don't know how Mark has managed to time it, but somehow there's always been a gap in the lockdowns and a historics auction, and it's live, and you've had people turning up. And that's been fantastic.
Morning, gentlemen.
Come on, let's get those teas in.
Okay.
Now, you must join us, Mark. It's the last one of the year. You've got to come in and join us, yes? Yeah, come on.
Well, there you go. Let me just give the teas to start with, etc.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
Thank you.
Come on, Mark, squeeze in. Let's get you on camera for a little
I'm
bit.
allowed to,
Yes.
am I? Well, that's
we
the first
were just
for me.
talking about highlights of the year. Obviously, we've had a tough 2 years, and as a business owner, it's a different question for you of how well and how difficult it's been. So, how rewarding has it been, or successful has it been over the last 18 months?
Well, I think it's been very rewarding. We've seen all this online bidding coming through, and we've managed to have live auctions all the way through. Well, I think we can safely say we're the only auction house that did carry on.
You were saying that, weren't you?
In probably some not the greatest of circumstances, say. No. We made people feel welcome. We kept all the distances that was necessary, and we had a few challenges, but every challenge was met with perfection.
I must admit, because we don't see everything that you see, because obviously we're away
No,
talking to clients.
you don't.
So you have to fight with
Yes.
these venues.
You do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So but you've managed to. So we only lost one auction, and that one auction was when the whole world stopped.
That's it. Yeah.
And otherwise, we've been full physical auctions, and we might have a few restrictions, I guess, but the venues have been good, have they?
The venues have been fantastic. I mean, we must congratulate Ascot Racecourse. They open their doors every time. We had to go to a few restrictions, the mask, bit of a headache, but we understand why. And I think they worked extremely well. Mind you, they had nothing else to do. They weren't galloping horses around, so they were pleased to see.
Don't tell them that, though.
It was a day out for them.
So key for you, though, was physical auctions. There was obviously a potential, as some other auction houses, to go online. And I remember we spoke about this right in the height of it, of what should we do. And you were staunch, saying, no, we must be physical auctions.
We were very, very lucky. I don't know if you remember back to one of the earlier Ascot auctions, etc. We had to literally change our date because the mask wearing come in. It was a lockdown period, and I think we missed one by one day where we physically had an auction on the Saturday, and I think the world was shut down on the Monday or the Tuesday. That was the first one. Happy days we got there. And then there was another one with similar circumstances that we couldn't because of all the rules. The shops were still closed, and the shops were going to open the next week. So we just stopped the date, moved on a week, and we opened. And don't forget also another little hurdle we had, unfortunately, was
Prince Philip died.
Prince Philip died. You
yes.
took the words that you took my glory.
Took the line
I
on
meant
it.
to remember
We
these
have
things,
learned
although
that
I did stumble. So thank you, Dom. Yeah.
This
Team
podcast
effort.
thus far has been mainly about Dom. We've found out.
Yes, yeah.
So so overcoming all of those, it's also been just this summer our 10th anniversary.
Yes.
So over the 10 years, can you pick a favourite car that you've sold?
You don't even need. I think you would all know the most favourite car, and which gives the most enjoyment to everyone. I think was probably I sold one of my cars, which was the 1989 Batmobile. It was a Mercedes Benz, and
so that's the long nosed one, wasn't
that's it. Yeah. And we done a nice little video for it.
I remember
stuff,
that. It was
and we got quite
funny.
a lot of interest. We got some interest from abroad and stuff like that. But what I failed to tell everyone there is that when the auction went up, that I had a Batman in the wings that come out and bid on the car and was crying at the end because he didn't get the car. Yes, it was a bit of a staged act, but it built joys to the room of fun. And
Ever
that's
the
what auctions
showman.
all about. Yeah.
Ever the showman, aren't you? Always putting on the show. So that sold for £72,000 at the time. Where did it go?
Kuwait.
Into Kuwait.
Yeah, Kuwait.
Do you think
it's still there, Mark?
Yeah, do you think it's still there?
Do you know what? It's been to Kuwait and it's been backwards and forwards to England twice, and it's now back in Kuwait. And the fella that bought it, I've got to know him a little bit and stuff like that. And he has just built that car. It's a bigger, it's a stronger. He's pulled the thing apart. He's put new in, like all sort of enthusiastic people that say they've got to have the best. And it is a stunning car now.
So, on the Batmobile Trail, of course, this year you were also invited to This Morning, I think, with Phil and Holt
Yes.
on television. I know this because we...
Yes, I was good, Matt.
he
I was good.
We,
Yeah,
and we actually all printed up T-shirts saying "I'm with Mark on TV" because it was the crowning moment of his Batmobile career. Right, Mark, you've got stuff to do, so do you want to get
so
back
I'm
on?
out.
Off you go. And,
Chaps, don't be long. There is things to do, as you do
I
say.
can
So
imagine, yes.
I know you can turn an hour into 2 hours quite easily. So, chaps, have a good day. See
you,
you all
Mark.
later.
Nice to see you.
Bye-bye.
With Mark gone, we've got a topic that's been asked of me on a number of occasions. A sort of dirty word, really. But since Captain Karras is gone, let's have a quick look. So, flipping cars. Now,
Or scooters.
it can sometimes be a little bit derogatory because people don't like the idea of buying something that someone's bought for profit.
I very much like the process of selling somebody's family heirloom to somebody nice.
Yeah.
You know, that perfect scenario where you will sell it to a good home, and quite often we do sell it to a good home. And you go back to the owner and you go, I know your late husband owned it for 50 years. It's gone to somebody who's going to own it for the next 50. That's, I think, the perfect scenario. But we are a business, aren't we? We're not a charity. And part of our business is obviously making money. And if you sell a car for whatever reason, then that reason sort of works, doesn't it? If somebody pays the right money, then they can own the car. And that's ultimately why people have put it in for the sale.
I think the reason I've been asked about it recently is the upswell of online auctions.
Sure.
And, you know, pros and cons of those. I've been offered a number of cars that have been bought very well at an online auction. And when I say very well, for a very cheap price. And then the inclination is straight away popping into a full physical auction.
There's so many of those car renovation programs, the SOSs and the Wheeler Dealer style programs, where you'll take something, put a bit of magic into it, and then sell it for a profit. So it's an opportunity that a lot of people are now aware of. Yeah. And if we're part of that process, then it's another feather in our cap.
The two key factors are, one, you need to have bought it very well, which is, if you're in any kind of car sales or any sales, that is the key. And then you still have to be sensible with your reserves, as we were speaking about earlier. There's no point buying a car and then trying to put the reserve as the profit. The profit has to be.
But present it well, Matt. And I don't want to bang on about that DB5 that we just sold. That I just sold.
Yes, okay.
It failed to sell at one of the big boys in our world recently. But when it turned up, it hadn't been cleaned. It wasn't running properly. And if we spent a couple of days, a little bit of love, and that difference made £100,000 on the asking price, and I think that's one of our fortes as part of our skill is that we'll take whatever you've got for sale and we'll present it in the best way for that car.
On to the next section, and I thought we'd have a little bit of fun because it's Christmas. We're going to talk about Christmas presents. So I'm going to bring a couple of Christmas presents to the table and just talk to you about what you think they're worth.
For us, we keep.
Well, no. But the best one, and we're going to ask the guys on social media. So if you're on YouTube, you can mention it. If you're on our socials, I'm sure we'll have a little poll. The best one we'll buy for Mark because he needs a present, doesn't he?
Okay.
So, first up, and I've got some pictures. So anyone that's on YouTube, you can see this. If not, have a quick look online. BMW M-Tech socks. That's proper geek level, isn't it? Now, on each sock, one says clutch, one says brake and gas.
You'd want change from the pound shop, wouldn't you?
I don't wear short socks anyway, so I wouldn't know. But
go on, give us a guess, guys. What's your rating?
£5.
£5 from Ed.
God, give me a tenner.
A tenner. £12.99, and they could be yours in the stocking, or they could be the stocking.
And if you drive an automatic, then you're going to be lost, aren't you?
Just wear one sock.
You have to turn one inside out.
Yes. Okay, so Porsche, they love a gift, don't they? They love a bit of a present. They've got Porsche bikes, Porsche this, Porsche that. And I always say you can have a Porsche cap, let's say, but you can't own a Porsche. Because then you really look silly. So I thought, okay, what can I find in the Porsche catalogue which is nice and comfy for the gentleman driver? I thought that was quite tasteful. Yeah. So Porsche design dressing gown. Are you a dressing gown man?
Is it toweling or silk?
You could wear it to the local co-op, which I noticed some of the locals do around here.
In leafy Buckinghamshire? Yeah. How dare you? Okay, so a Porsche design.
500 quid.
Oh, blimey, he's gone in high there. I'll just go 499.
I don't know, what is it? Is it toweling or silk?
I think it's toweling, but soft.
Okay, toweling. I'm going to go 200.
£200 is bloody close. Have you got one of these?
No, I only
Don't
steal.
ruin it.
You've got one.
I only steal toweling rolls from hotels.
It's £210. You just got a little bit of a discount, didn't you?
I might use a felt pen and put Porsche design all over my one I've got. Just
so there's Porsche design.
See if I can sell it on eBay.
So far, we've got the socks and we've got the robe. Next up, and this is my favourite. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Ah, there he is. A personalised mini-me driver, and this one is adorned with Mark.
So that's not actually stuck on. That's actually you can get
and
who
actually,
you want.
Amazingly, I did this obviously for prop. It took less than 24 hours to arrive. So, how much for one of these?
With Mark's face is priceless.
I'll start the bidding. £10. £10 here. £10.
I think you've bought that, haven't you?
Yes. So go on. What do you reckon? Quickly.
25 quid.
25 quid.
I was 30.
30 quid. This is, and it is a bit of a bargain, I think. 19.99. So I'm going to buy your one.
What's it
Oh,
for?
I'd like that.
Yeah.
What is it?
Oh, I don't know. Just to scare the children, I think. Especially with marked on it.
Put it near the fire, stops them burning themselves, I suppose.
So we have a mini-me in Mark, but you can have race driver. There are other actual designs, but race driver was probably more appropriate for us. Now, Lego. Now, we love Lego when we were kids, but you used to do Lego cars and Lego kits, you do. So I picked one specifically because I thought it was a bit out this year.
My brother's made that.
Has he?
Yeah.
So a brand new Land Rover Defender one. The only thing that annoys me about these is that all the parts are no longer just bricks, are they? You couldn't.
I mean, you couldn't make it into something else.
Couldn't pull it apart.
There's quite a lot of bricks though in it, isn't it? It's mainly bricks.
Where's the
and
brick?
Yeah, but
So you're a
give 'em
fan.
a little bit of license. I love it. I think it's great.
So Lego for you for Christmas.
But isn't it tremendously expensive?
Well, so how much do you think these Lego Land
My
Rover?
brother told me, and I can't
100
remember.
quid.
Okay, £100 from
Something
Dom.
like that is something near 100 quid.
It's
Eight.
£150 for a bit of Lego.
You see, during lockdown, I got stuck doing airfix. Loads of airfix.
Did you?
Got quite obsessed with airfix. They're about.
Edward, you
can
know
get
that
them for
people
about
say
20
this.
quid.
I wouldn't necessarily mention that to the world.
In your Porsche down.
Really quite sad.
So, I
Sitting
mean-
there painting.
But you think that's bad? And Ed, who helps us with these films, he highlighted a Bugatti Veyron version of these, £300. Though I suppose down's not cheaper than actually buying a Bugatti Veyron.
Still, that's what I want for Christmas. So I want
Ed
that.
could afford it though.
Well,
he's got a proper
yes,
job,
of
hasn't
course,
he?
yes. And then last but not least, and only because this was quite double, because I need a pair of these kind of earbud things that you can just sit there and listen to on the beach and,
Yeah.
you know. So a set of earbuds. Now, I'll try and get this actually correctly pronounced.
McLaren.
It's a McLaren sort of sponsors, but it's done by Klipsch. Presumably like a very Bang & Olufsen style flashy kind of technology maker. But how much for a set of earbuds?
So they would replace my Walkman then, would they?
Are they the things which people wander around talking on the
how-
phone?
Isn't it really annoying? And you're like,
You're in a supermarket
Yeah.
and somebody comes up behind you and goes, "Hello?"
and actually they're just talking to their friend.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of those. So how much for these? Now, bear in mind that
300 quid.
got the McLaren word on them, so it might be just
I've no idea, but I'm going to go 150.
so £265. At that point, stick with the Walkman. So, of all those, we're going to ask everyone at home to give us an indication of which one we need to give to Mark. I know what my favourite is for Mark, mainly because I've already bought it. But I mean, it's got to be that.
I think we
hasn't
have
it?
a winner.
It's got to be this.
Please vote for that one.
Yes. I'm not sure how long it will last. Imagine sticking that in the bed next to his wife.
She might prefer it.
So get on your social media, tell us which one. If that one doesn't win, I'll have to put my hand in my pocket and buy something else. If you are watching on YouTube, click and subscribe. If you're not, then obviously like our social media pages so you get notified when we do one of these podcasts. That will be a wrap for podcast for this year. Our next auction, as I mentioned, is March the 12th.
March the 12th.
at Ascot. So if you're looking to sell, do give the guys in the office a quick call or have a look online at www.historics.co.uk. And hopefully we'll see you all then for some filming and some auctions and some auctioneering and have a successful new year. So everyone have a nice Christmas. It's goodbye from me, Matthew Pretty.
Bye-bye.
Bye from Dom.
And goodbye from me.